Hello Year 6, welcome to your literacy video for Tuesday. Well done on your writing work yesterday looking at irregular past tense verbs. You did a really good job. And just before we move on to our work for today, I've got a quick Kahoot quiz for you that's testing your knowledge of what we did yesterday. Okay, so your game pin is 020630007. Okay, so it's just going over irregular past tense verbs just to check you're all definitely secure in that area before we move on. Okay, so you go and have a go at that quiz. I'll be logging on to see who has had a good go and what percentage you've got, and then I'll be sending out some marvellous me's. Okay, remember to use your full name for me, so your real name, so that I know who it is and who's doing well on the quizzes. Okay, so you have a go at that first for your starter. Okay, your work for today then, we are practicing using evidence from the text. So we're doing a reading today again. So if you've got the book with the lion on the front, you're going to need this one today. If you've got the one with the submarine on the front, I'll be going over yours afterwards. Okay, so we've done some work recently on using evidence from the text, but I've noticed that some of you are still finding this a little bit tricky. So I thought I'd go over it today, because there are a few questions in your reading comprehension today that need that skill. So I'll go over it and then hopefully that will help you. Okay, let's have a look then. Turn to pages 10 and 11. So it's called Julius Caesar's Goat. It says Julius Caesar was born in ancient Rome in 100 BC. He was a talented army general and soon became very powerful. Eventually, he became the ruler of Rome. Julius Caesar is the main character in Julius Caesar's Goat by Dick King-Smith, which tells a fictional version of his life. Okay, so remember, fictional is not real. Okay, so you have a read through that then, and you've been given chapter 2. So you have a read of chapter 2, and then remember down the bottom we have got our glossary. So if you come across a word that's got a star next to it, go down to the bottom and have a read of what it means. Okay, so pause the video now if you're going to have a read of the text. Remember, if there are any words you're unsure of, just underline them. Go on dictionary.com and then pop a note near the word so that that will help you with your understanding when you're answering some of your questions. Okay, question 1 then says, why don't the soldiers like Julius Caesar's goat? So I haven't popped this one on my board because I think you'll all be able to have a good go at this one. So if you have a look around lines 9 and 10, have a look. What does it say about the goat that might mean that they don't like him? Okay. Question 2 then is one that would have to give some evidence on. So I'm going to model answering question 2, and then I want you to apply that to the other questions in the comprehension where you've got to give some evidence. So this one says, read lines 5 to 7. What do you think might have happened in chapter 1 of this book? So I've just snipped lines 5 to 7 and a little bit of 8 because it wasn't the end of the sentence. So it says, as for the man who would have executed the animal if the general's thumb had turned down, he, much to his dismay, was appointed Centurion Capricorn. Okay, and then we don't need to worry about the next bit because that's just the start of the next sentence. Centurion Capricorn has got a star next to it, so that means that it's going to be in my glossary. So let's have a look what it means. So Centurion Capricorn means it's the officer in charge of the goat. So they've been put in charge of looking after the goat. Okay, so our question was, what do you think might have happened in chapter 1 of this book? Because remember, this is chapter 2. This is not the beginning. Okay, and remember, it's a what do you think question. So there's not actually any particular right or wrong answer as long as you've used these lines to inform your answer. Okay, so let's have another look. As for the man who would have executed, so if you're not sure what executed means, it means killed. Okay, but look that up on dictionary.com if you're not sure. So, as for the man who would have killed the animal if the general's thumb had turned down, so the general is Caesar, isn't it? Okay. He, much to his dismay, was appointed, so he wasn't happy about it. Okay, much to his dismay. Okay, but wasn't happy there, because then this might help us with our answer. Was appointed centurion Capricorn. Remember, that means he's in charge of the goat. Okay, so it says the man who would have killed the animal if the general's thumb had turned down. So I think he was maybe quite cruel. So I'm going to say, oh, come on. My board, wake up. So I'm going to say for my answer for this one then, the centurion, because I don't know his name. I'm going to call him the centurion Capricorn because that's what he is now, isn't it? It's just been given this title. Okay, so it says, so the centurion Capricorn was cruel to animals. It says he would have killed them, doesn't it? So he was cruel to animals. And executed them, and killed them. Okay, but then I need to use a little bit of evidence just to back up my answer. Okay, so let's have a look then. So that's what I think happened in the chapter before. I think that he was cruel to animals and he killed them because it says he would have executed the animal. Okay, so let's carry on this sentence because it says, okay, 1 second. So because it says, oh, come on board. I think it's half asleep today. Oh, yeah, because it said he would have executed a little bit the animal. Oh dear, this board today. You all know what my board's like. It's got a mind of its own. So the animal, okay, and that would be a good answer for that question. Okay, so that would answer question 2. So you can use that to help you with your answer. Remember, you haven't got to write the same thing. So I think in chapter 1, he might have been cruel to animals in some way. He might have killed them. But you don't have to say that. That's up to you. But just make sure you use lines 5 to 7 to help you. Okay, so now I've gone over using the evidence in the text. I want you to have a go at question 3. So question 3 says, how do you think the man who is made Centurion Capricorn feels about his new job? And then it says, explain your answer. That means you've got to use some evidence from the text. So I've snipped the bit that I think you will need to help you answer this question. So let's have a look. So it's the bit we've just read. So it says, as for the man who would have executed the animal if the general's thumb had turned down, he, much to his dismay, was appointed Centurion Capricorn. Not even a rise in pay of 1 denarius per diem, which means a penny a day, could compensate him for having now to live permanently next to that awful pond, but of course he could not complain. Okay, so do we think he likes his new job? So remember, his new job is looking after the goat. So do you think he likes it? So it says here, so even given a penny a day, so it says compensate, which is in your glossary. So compensate says make up for something. So not even a penny a day could make up for him having now to live permanently, so that's all the time, next to that awful pond. What does that mean? Use that to help you answer the question. Do you think he likes that or not? Okay, so you need to give 2 points for that answer. You need to say, I think he feels happy about his new job. I don't think he likes his new job. It's up to you, but make sure you give some evidence. Okay. Question 4, just before we move on to question 5, says, what do the soldiers mean when they say hard cheese in line 12? So go back to your text, look at line 12. Okay, so his mate's whispered to him, which loosely translated means hard cheese. What do you think they're saying? What do you think he smells like? Do you think that means he smells nice? Or do you think he doesn't smell nice? Have a think. What does cheese smell like? And think about goats and cheese. Use that to help you with your answer. Okay, question 5 then says, find and copy 2 words from the extract that mean smell. So I've snipped 2 paragraphs just to whittle it down a little bit for you so that you haven't got to find them in the whole text. Okay, so you've got this paragraph beginning for as for the man. So have a look in there and have a look towards the end of that paragraph. And then I've snipped this bit that starts with it was a strong wind. So have a look in there and again look towards the end of this bit. So it's a full paragraph. It starts on line 17. Have a look at that paragraph and there's another word in there that means smell as well. Okay. Question 6 then says, explain why nobody complained to Julius Caesar about his goat. So this is again practicing your evidence skills. So why do you think they all didn't like the goat? There was a reason they didn't like the goat, but why didn't they complain about it to Julius Caesar? Okay, have a look at the very, very last line of your text. So line 21, 22, 24, and there's a little bit in there, a little bit of evidence in there that might help you. But have a think, how do you think they felt towards Julius Caesar? Okay, have a think about that one. And then your last question says, do you think that this is a very serious story? Explain your answer. So again, that's up to you. You could say yes or no. I mean, it's all about something to do with the goat, isn't it? I'd say it's quite funny. So I would say it isn't really a serious story, but that's up to you. You have a think, but then you need to remember, use some evidence to support your answer. Okay? So remember, find something in the text that supports what you've just said and pop it in there. Okay? So I'm really looking out today when you send your work in on the emails for your evidence, especially on questions 2, 3, 6 and 7. Okay? So that's your reading for today. If you have got the book with the submarine on the front, so this one, okay, you are moving on to page 7 today. And your learning question is, can I answer a mixture of retrieval and inference questions? Okay, so remember, retrieval are when we can just find the answer in the text and use it in our answer. And the inference question is when we've got to read between the lines a little bit because sometimes the answer isn't always as obvious. We've got to use our understanding to help us. Okay, let's have a look then. So it's called Our Pet Dinosaur, sorry. Okay, so you've got a little bit of text there to read all about a pet dinosaur, which sounds really interesting. And then your first question says, do you think the family was shocked when Dad brought Danny home? How can you tell? So let's have a look here. So it says, most families have a dog or a cat as a pet, but not ours. We have a dinosaur called Danny. It was a bit of a surprise when Dad first turned up with Danny. Okay, so it says, do you think the family were shocked? So it says here, it was a bit of a surprise. So if you are surprised, that's the same as shocked, isn't it? So you could say yes, because in the text it says, and then you could use this bit of the text to help you support your answer. Okay. Question 2 then says, why did Dad decide to take Danny home? Okay, so if you have a look at where Dad is speaking, so it says here, Dad explained. So have a look at what he says here. Okay, and what's the reason for why he brought Danny home? Okay, so have a look. And then question 3 is, why does Danny have to stay in the garden? You have a look in the last part of the last little paragraph. It says here, Danny isn't the easiest pet to look after, but we love him anyway. He has to stay in the garden because, and then it carries on to tell you why he has to stay in the garden. So you can use that. That's a retrieval question. You can find that and use it in your answer. Okay, so that's all of your literacy work for today. Don't forget there is a Kahoot quiz to have a go at that you can all have a good go at. So log on, pop the game pin in and have a go. And then I'd love to see a picture of your literacy work for today. Okay, I'll see you all tomorrow.